Alright, so we're pretty close to what we want. I did find out what the error is. So, see, I'm importing the game model here. It's not really working very well. I'd like to go back down to 1 just for fun. But if I make this run, it just breaks. However, if I come over here and run the game model, it will run the code to make this run inside of the game model. So depending on the direction I actually run them, if I run MapMaker, which imports the game model, or if I run the game model, which imports MapMaker, one or the other will work or won't. And in fact, it won't work if I run the MapMaker, which is the one that has the call to the MapMaker right now, just for testing. It's really only doing this for testing purposes, but that screwed us up a lot somewhere else. So I'm just going to keep going with this until I see a map. Okay, so this is not quite the map I'd like. So I just want to keep on going till I get to the map. That doesn't include the errors that I'm going to the errors I'm going to correct offline, because they're that kind of error. So what I'd really like is a map with one exit and the last room not connected. And probably I should have done this offline, but I'm just going to keep on going at this point. Just hoping that one of these comes out the map I'd like to see. This isn't good. We want this, we want eventually at least, maybe not at the end of this, to have the key in this room and the MacGuffin in that room. So we have to get to that point. So we have to get something that'll do that for us. Now I've got to run through the error each time. And this just isn't working out as well. I guess part of that is the size. So I can actually go back here. And go back to 35. And that gives me a larger one with fewer errors, because these things are separated more, and the errors come when these things are separated. So now we're sort of ready. We want to output a map, but to do that I'm going to have to make a false tile, or a false square that I'm going to call a tile. So class tile. And this thing I'm going to have to use instead of the 1s and 2s and 3s, right? So def 1 double underscore init double underscore self type position. It's going to have to know its position and its type. Let's see, what else does it need to know? It's going to have to know if it's associated with a room. Because what's going to happen is that the tile is going to actually do the work for me. It's going to be the thing that I'm going to call the tile and give it the map, and it will start populating the map. The map will have the rooms imported into it, and the tile will, and then I'll run through all the tiles down here, and the map will sort out all the other things. So that will hopefully work out. But I need the coordinates, I need the type of tile, and I need its room. And I think if I have the type of tile, I should be okay in deciding which group for the room it goes with, because I'm going to want to have two groups for the room. One is this 2, right? And that's going to be just the tiles. And the other one is this 3, which is the exit, which is not technically part of the room, right? So if I want to spawn a monster, I want to spawn it in the room, not at the exit, right? So the room tiles and the exit tiles are different, but that lets me choose, if I want to place things at those exits, like Guffy McGufface, who I'd want to have here. All right, so that's my goal. So we have self room equals room, self x, self y equals position. And this is the position for this. The reason why I want to do this is on the output, when I'm doing the scaling over here, if I scale it to 3, this 2 here is going to be a 3x3 group of tiles. And later on, or maybe even earlier, for these tiles here, I'll push those in with extra stuff. I'll push those in with rounded corners or something like that. I also might say, if I have something built by a size 3 monsters, make this 4x4, right? So a human is size 3. If it's a human sized thing, it should be, let's say, 4x4, so that the human isn't really squeezed. But if it's something like a goblin tunnel, maybe the goblins are smaller. The goblin tunnels might be 3x3. The human can fit in there, but now he's going to be squeezed in tight. And in fact, possibly he won't be able to use, swinging weapons. Only be able to use stabby weapons. So, don't know about that yet. Just something I've been thinking about. And self.type equals type. Def stir self return type. All right. So right now I don't really know what to do with this more than that. I just wanted to put the tiles in instead. So, placing squares and things. Let's see. Rooms and add room and add corridor segment, I think both add things. Initialize map makes everything sort of none, right? So we're okay with that. Adding a room. We put our room thing in here. Let's see. So we have data column row. So we want to have type equals data column row. Let's see. Okay, so this is actually setting the center as a tuple. px is going to equal this thing. Py is going to equal this thing. Px py, keeping it shorter. And the last thing I want is the room, which is the same room. So let's just make sure I have the right order. I've got type pause room. So I want a tile here of type pxpy room. So that should be perfectly fine for this, right? Let's see. Now we want the corridor segment. I think I might have to do here definition equals self other return self.type equals other. So I'll continue to use, let's see, how does this break? Oh, all right, okay, self-type. Okay, so it doesn't know the difference now between the type and an integer when it's doing these comparisons, when it's making this column thing. So that's fine. Good. When it's making this corridor, excuse me. So place corridors we don't care about. What we care about is this guy here. Room equals none. So its default is to put no room in there. So now we need add corridor doesn't do it, it's this guy. Okay, preparation BS. And if this thing is none, then if last does not equal 2, which is the thing I'm taking care of, then this thing is equal to 1. We don't want it, we want it to add. Okay, so Do I have just regular xy defined here? No. Okay, good. Xy is equal to this thing, comma this thing. Or strike that, reverse it. Alright, so we just have y x y x y x. So we want a tile. Here's going to be a type 1. It's at xy, and this will give us a none. Here we want a tile 3 comma x comma y. And we have to add a room now for this guy, because this is the door that goes with that room. All right, this is the place where we could put a door. So this is going to be x minus I times sine x comma y minus okay, equals self.map these things y minus I times sine y. So this basically steps back and chooses the room that that tile belongs to. Get room. Okay, so that means, right, the tile needs to know what the room is. So def get room self return self room. And that should tell 3 that he goes with, should tell this guy that he goes with this room, right? Or for this guy that he goes with no room. That's going to be a worse problem. So he's just going to show up as a corridor for now, but he'll be a possibility later on. We'll just have to figure out what to do with it. Let's see. Okay, so get that. So this has nothing to do with rooms, so it doesn't know about rooms. So we add in the room, right? So what's happened here is it's switched from being in the room to being outside of the room. Okay, so now we come over here, and he's not in a room. And then he comes here, and this is exactly the same x and y again, right? STY plus I sine y. So this is y. This is x. So if it's if that is a room, then we return, figure out which room that is. This is yx. right? And then actually what we can do, since this is already a tile, right, we can actually manipulate the tile. So self map x1, y1 is equal to these guys. Y1, x1. Dot set type 3 dot map dot y1 x1 set room. Okay, and that should be exactly the same as what I was doing. All I have to do is make a set type and a set room, right? Def set type self type equals type def set room self dot room. Equals room. Alright, so that should give us an error here, but be fine now. So, not much of a difference, except somehow this ended up with a 3 right there. That's not really sensible. But we might have to live with it for a second. It's fine for our purposes if Guffy McGufface is there. Right? This should not have happened, right? Okay, so I think that's fine. I think that does our thing. The only thing now is we want to imprint onto a map. And right now we'll just send the map in. So we say for I in range scale, for j in range scale, xy is equal to self x plus I self y plus j. And we want to place the square. So let's see, do we have in here still square placement? I think it's probably going to be just something like add square. So first I have to make the square. Guess the square knows where it is, right? It assigns neighbors. So we'll say map.add square. So let's make that square. Square equals big square. What do we need for that? Map, comma, position, which is XY. Square dot set room, self room. Okay, right. If self dot type equals 2, square set room self room. Self dot type equals 3, self room dot add exit, which probably doesn't exist in the room right now. Self members, self exits. Exit self square self.exits.append square. Adds a square that is adjacent to the room and is in an acceptable place for a door or similar barrier. Okay. Okay, I haven't really done anything, I don't think. Alright, so these guys... Okay, so let's see. So I haven't called the imprint, so it actually doesn't do anything. So, map equals map. What did I have to use to call the map? Okay, so that's all I need is okay. That means that the map okay. Alright, so we don't have much going on here. Let's see, can we... I've just created a map. Nothing's happened. Self imprint map. Def imprint self map. For I in range self.x, comma, for line in self.map, for space in line, space dot imprint map. If space imprint map. Oh, okay. Okay, so spelling error. Okay. Okay, seems to be working. Room add square. Okay. So I should probably have okay, if I set the room add the square, it doesn't add it to the room. So I need to add the square. Okay, so it's running that. Okay, so creating a map is now where we send it to the MapMaker to create the map. So let's see what happens if we just add these things. Am I going to have this problem? Or I can't... Oh, well. Well, I didn't want to have a whole bunch of classes. I wanted to not have every single class in there, but it looks like I'm stuck putting them all in there because I can't trade the classes between these two guys. If I just put things in here randomly, that means I'm eventually going to have to clean it up. Let's see. Okay, so this should end up with a problem. As long as I'm... let's not do anything with you. Okay, so I don't really want to spend my time trying to undo a lot of these things. It's just for now. Layer is apparently very important. Okay. I don't think that's exactly right. There seems to be something wrong going on, but it looks like we're getting this same pattern. Oops, where is it? Right, we've got the same pattern here and here. It's not ideal. I'm not sure. I think this is supposed to be a wall. So I guess that means that I am not registering something. Map add square. All right. Probably I need to assign neighbors. Okay, that assigns the neighbors. Oh, I'm not doing something to the square, right? All those squares I have to unlock, right? Make open. Make open is what I did for those squares. So when the tile is going through and doing its thing, square make open. Tools go. Tools go. All right. So we've got the numbers and all those things. Let's see. What else do we need? Not much else. That's making our map for us. We want to fill walls. So we want to do that up here. Our MapMaker. Not there, not there, not there, not there, not there. Map.fill walls. Done with it. Go. Alright, so that MapMaker is making our map for us the way we wanted it to. And I can still even move around. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden that guy worked out, so I can still move around. I can't see things here when I go too far down, but that's alright. I did not add in the other guys. So we'll need to put Guffy here, and the Wizard of Guffin here with the Maltese, or the Maltese MacGuffin, and then we'll be okay. So that is actually a win that I didn't think I was going to have. And that means this whole thing is done. I am so happy. Yeah, I thought this was going to be an hour. Thank you very much. I will get to scaling the maps up and, you know, eventually putting all the other things back in. That won't be too much. All right.